Hello students, I'm your teacher Adil Ahmed from Creative Learning Resources and welcome to this live stream. Today we are going to learn about the structure of heart, plus we are going to learn the role of valves, like what the valves do. After looking at the structure of heart, role of valves and the other blood vessels which are linked to that, we are going to see the CHD. What is CHD? That is a part of the syllabus and we have to understand that. Plus, what are the possible risk factors which involve CHD, which is coronary heart disease. So let's start with the structure of heart. The structure of heart, it's a mammalian heart or human heart, and we are going to see that how does a human heart look like. I'm going to draw a section of the heart which, like, the heart is being cut from the top to the bottom, and we are going to see from its ventral side, not from the dorsal side. Ventral means the front side, that's called as ventral, and the back side is called as dorsal. So to start off with, first of all, we all know that whenever you are trying to understand the structure of heart, you should understand this thing. There are 4 chambers. These 4 chambers generally, they could be drawn like that. The upper 2 chambers, they are called as atria, or singular is atrium. So we have 2 atria and we have 2 ventricles. So that's a general schematics of the heart. And then once we look into the atria are the top sections which are comparatively smaller. Very important thing to understand, the blood comes to the atria. Like this is atria receive blood, and then blood goes out from the ventricle. Similarly, the other side, so this side, this atrium also receives the blood, and then the ventricle, it gives away the blood. The blood goes out from the ventricle. Over here, the important thing to understand that both of these atria, they are comparatively smaller chambers and they are receiving blood. Why blood is in 2 different colors? Because I am showing the deoxygenated blood in blue and the oxygenated blood in red. So why is it like this? Is it just like, an artistic thing to draw? Like, whenever teachers use, or in books, you always see that the right side of the heart, this side of the heart where, the 2 blue vessels you can see, they are attached over here. These 2 sides, this is the right side, this is the left side. And the right side of the heart, that is filled with deoxygenated blood. I'm saying right side. You say, what? This is not the right side. This is on the left. Yes, this is yours left. If you look at that, this is your left, but this is my right. This is my right hand. This is my left hand. Remember, I'm wearing the watch in my left hand. This is my left hand, which is appearing to be right to you. Similarly, whenever you're describing the heart of any person, you have to look for the right side of that person. You should not have looked for what is right for you, what's right to you. So over here, this is the right side and this is the left side. For students, I always say that you can remember it, whatever is opposite. Opposite is right. Means this is the left, so it's actually the person's right. And this is the right, which is actually the person's left. So you have to just keep this in your mind while you are labeling. So let's move ahead and draw the heart. Is the drawing of heart in the syllabus, will they ever ask you to draw the heart? Answer is no. In IGCSE, especially if we talk about combined sciences, so today more focus is on the combined sciences or coordinated sciences syllabus. So today we are going to talk about coordinated sciences. So we were drawing the heart. This is the right side of the heart, which I'm drawing right now. And you can see that. How is this going to complete? And this side of the heart, as I have mentioned earlier, this is containing deoxygenated blood, which will be showing in blue in a minute. Like, there will be blue arrows showing the direction of the blood inside the heart. And this part, the left part, is actually receiving oxygenated blood. So this part receives oxygenated blood. Sorry about the squeaky sounds. I'll try to use today other markers other than these, but the black marker is kind of more squeaky. So what I'm drawing right now, these are called as valves. These are valves in the heart, and these valves, they play a very important role in regulating the one-way traffic. Like, the blood should keep on going in only one direction. Blood should not go in the opposite direction. So in order to understand that, and you should not get confused, we are going to erase this schematics, and then we are going to complete the thickness of the chambers of atrium. This is the atrium, and these are the blood vessels attached to the atrium. We have already said that the blood is coming to the atria. Atria always receive blood. So atria are receivers. A is R. Atria are receivers. Ventricles are givers. Ventricles push blood into the blood vessels called as arteries. So it means that both of these are arteries, and both of these atria, they are connected to the veins. So what's the definition of a vein? A vein is the blood vessel that actually takes blood to the heart. It brings the blood to the heart. While these are two atria. These are two atria. These two atria are here. Let us complete the thickness of the wall of these atria. I don't like this thickness. This went too thick. So here we go. Here we have now the structure is almost complete, and we have seen that it has taken no time. While if you look at the important things right now related to the structure, you have to keep in your mind. Look at the thickness of the walls of the left ventricle. This chamber is the left ventricle. It is much thicker than the right side. So you have to notice this thing, and that should be considered. And in exams, they're going to ask you this question. They can ask you that, what is the reason that the left side or the left chamber of the heart is having thicker walls, or they say left ventricle of the heart is having thicker walls. And we're going to talk about in a minute. First, we'll see how blood is flowing through the heart. So we have already said that we have deoxygenated blood coming from this side. So this is the blood vessel which is bringing deoxygenated blood down over here. Similarly, this is bringing deoxygenated blood from the head region, from the top parts of the body. So this is from head region. And this is bringing the blood from the lower parts of the body. This blood vessel, which is bringing blood from the lower parts of the body, definitely this is a vein. We already have said that atria are connected to the veins. It means that these are two veins, these are two veins. And these veins, what are their names? This particular vein, this is actually a vena cava. Vena cava name refers to both of these. Both of these are vena cavas. But the one is which is bringing blood from the top, that is called as superior vena cava. The superior means it's elevated, it's above. So it is bringing blood from the head region. Okay, and what is that? That is inferior. Inferior means lower side. Okay, so this is inferior vena cava. This is superior vena cava. So the blood enters into the heart from here, and then this atrium, the right atrium, this is the right atrium that contracts. Once the right atrium contracts, the blood is pushed into the right ventricle. Blood goes into the right ventricle. And then once the right ventricle contracts, after a short delay, which is about 0.3 seconds, this blood is pushed into this blood vessel. We already have said that the chamber of the heart, which is taking blood away from the heart, that is the ventricle, these two ventricles, and they are connected to arteries. So this blood vessel is an artery. This is an artery. And which artery is that? The name of this artery refers to the organ it supplies blood to. And it is supplying blood to pulmonary. Pulmonary means lungs. Your lungs are called as pulmonary. So pulmonary organs are the organs which are helping you for exchange of gases. So this is the pulmonary artery. So the pulmonary artery, it takes deoxygenated blood to the lungs. Okay, so this is taking blood to lungs. Lungs, other name pulmonary. Now we are going to see that this route we have seen, the blood is coming through inferior vena cava and superior vena cava to the heart. It enters to the right atrium. Once it enters to the right atrium, then the blood passes, the blood is pushed into the ventricle. Which ventricle? That's the right ventricle. And then once the right ventricle contracts, the blood is pushed through this valve. This is a valve. And what is the name of this valve? If you look at the structure of this valve, I'm going to draw something on the board and you are going to guess what am I drawing. Yes, what am I drawing? Yeah, very good, excellent. You said it the correct thing. This is the moon, the crescent, okay? So what you call crescent, the moon, in some Greek terminologies and in even Latin, it is, what happens once we have an eclipse of moon? We call it lunar eclipse. So a moon is lunar. Okay? So what will happen? If I have a circle and if I cut it, so we will be having a half circle. What we call the half circle as, we call it semicircle. Semi means half. So now look at the structure. Look at that. If I cut down the moon or your lunar to half, that is the shape of this valve. That is the shape of this valve over here. And that's the shape of this valve. So what name is given to this valve? Yes, it is called as half moon. Means semi-lunar. So semi-lunar valve, that is the name of this valve. So these valves, they are labeled as semi-lunar valves, both of these. They have their own individual names, as this is at the start of this blood vessel, which is called as aorta. That's why this is also called as aortic valve. But remember, this is a valve in the heart. Arteries, aorta is an artery. Largest artery in the body, that's aorta. Arteries do not have any valves. So this is aorta, which is basically an artery. Now we're going to see that how the blood is coming to the left chamber of the heart. Left chamber of the heart is receiving oxygenated blood, which is shown in red. So red means oxygenated. And blue means deoxygenated. So I have a deoxygenated eraser. Okay, so blue means this is deoxygenated. So deoxygenated blood is shown in blue color, oxygenated blood is shown in red color. Right side of the heart, the right chamber of the heart, the right atrium of the heart is receiving oxygenated blood. And from where it is coming? The same organ from to whom we sent deoxygenated. So once that deoxygenated blood is sent to our lungs, what do our lungs do? Our lungs remove carbon dioxide from our blood, and then our lungs, they add oxygen. It means that by doing so, the deoxygenated blood, which is going from this side of the heart, that's going to the lungs. Lungs are removing the carbon dioxide, adding oxygen, and then it will turn into oxygenated blood. And then our vein is going to bring that oxygenated blood back to the heart. And as I said, that vein, yes, you heard it correctly, these are veins. And also remember that these are the only veins which contain deoxygenated blood in our body. So in our body, only one type of veins contain deoxygenated blood. Only one type of veins contain oxygenated blood, which are pulmonary veins. Why pulmonary? Because they are bringing blood back from the lungs to heart. So these are pulmonary veins. They're bringing deoxygenated blood back to the heart. Once blood comes over here, this chamber, the left atrium of the heart, is going to contract. Once this is going to contract, the blood, the composition of all this, the oxygenated blood, that is going to get pushed through this valve. So we have a valve over here and a valve over here as well. What is the function of these valves? This valve is called as a bicuspid valve. This is commonly written as, also called as an atrioventricular valve. Why is it also called an AV valve? Because this valve is between the atrium and the ventricle. So a valve present between the atrium and ventricle, that is called as an atrioventricular valve. And its other name is bicuspid. Why is it called bicuspid? Bi means two. B-I, bi means two. And cuspid, like this is from cusps. What is a cusp? Cusp means like flaps. These are the flaps, like there are two flaps. So there are two flaps which are making the valve between the left atrium and left ventricle. So there are two flaps, that's why it is bicuspid. And now guess the name of this particular valve. It is made up of how many flaps? Yes, it's made up of 3 flaps. And 3 is called as tri. So the name of this one is a tricuspid valve. But is not only 2 flaps are seen in this diagram? Yes, because we have cut the whole heart longitudinally. So one of the flap is gone with the next or the other half of the heart which we have cut it into. Okay, so now coming back to this, we have seen that the right side of the heart is receiving deoxygenated blood, left side of the heart is receiving oxygenated blood, and then blood came to this chamber. That chamber is called as atrium, and then from this atrium, the blood is pushed into the ventricle through a bicuspid valve. Very good. Now we'll continue our journey. We are over here inside the left atrium. So what is the name of this chamber of the heart? This is left atrium. If that's the left atrium, so which chamber of the heart is that? This is right atrium. You are right over here. That's the right atrium. So the blood has reached to the left atrium, and then the left atrium, the muscles in the walls of the heart, the muscles contain the muscles over here inside this chamber of the heart over here. These muscles which are present over here, they are called as cardiac muscles. I told you that the coronary is a term which I'm going to explain later. So the heart, the blood vessels which supply blood to the heart, they are called as coronary. That's why it's a coronary. So the heart muscles, they are called as cardiac muscles. So the cardiac muscles are present inside the ventricles, and the ventricles, they contract due to the contraction of the cardiac. Cardiac means heart, to whom a person is supposed to go to if that person is facing some problem related to heart, God forbidden. That person has to see a cardiologist. So cardiologist is a person who is, in simple terminology, in general terms, we can say that the person is a heart specialist. So heart specialist is a general terminology, and we say specifically in the medical terminology, the cardiac is basically heart. So there are cardiac muscles over here, and these cardiac muscles, I already have explained that these walls are much thicker. You can see that these walls are much thicker than the walls of the right ventricle. So why the walls of the right ventricle are thinner? Why there is no need to have the same thickness of the walls of the ventricles to the right side as well? There's a reason. And they can ask you this question. The reason of this difference in the thickness is the left side has to supply blood through this aorta to all the organs of the body. So we can see that the blood is going to all organs of the body. Once there's a contraction of the left ventricle, the blood is going to go this way. And why is blood going to go this way only? How come the blood does not go backwards? That is the role of the valves. This valve is going to prevent the blood to go back from the ventricle to the atrium. So what is the role of valves? They prevent backflow. So prevention of backflow. Backflow means we don't want the blood to go back in this direction. We want the blood only to go and to continue the one-way traffic. So the one-way traffic will continue. This valve, the semilunar valve, is going to open, and then the blood is going to enter into the aorta, and the aorta is going to supply to all the organs of the body. So to all body organs. Now coming back to our previous unanswered question, that why the cardiac muscles are much thicker inside the walls of the left ventricle. The reason is that the left ventricle is supposed to send the blood to all the organs of the body. And the right side only has to supply blood to one organ, that is lungs. So you can even see that, like if you compare the number of organs, this chamber is supplying blood only lungs, while this is supplying blood to all the organs of the body. So it has to serve to much more body organs as compared to the left side. And this left side is having much thicker muscles. You can see that the thickness of the muscles, they are increasing in my heart. So I am actually making my heart stronger and stronger. You people also have to, my dear students, make your hearts stronger. And how can you make your heart stronger? What type of or line of action you should have to make your heart stronger? We'll talk about that in a minute. And now we can see that we have seen the route. So just discuss or revise the route of the blood through the heart once again. We have seen that starting from this point, from the head region, the deoxygenated blood is coming downward this way, and this is brought by vena cava. Vena cavas are veins. Okay, both of these are vena cavas. This is superior, inferior. Vena cavas are those veins which are connected to the atrium, right atrium of the heart. This is also superior vena cava. This vena cava is a vein. And these veins, these are the veins which, like any other normal regular vein, they contain oxygenated blood, right? No, deoxygenated blood. Veins contain deoxygenated blood normally. But what happened there? Did not we say they contain oxygenated? That's the only vein. That's a point that you have to remember. Pulmonary veins are the only veins which have with OB. So these are the only veins which contain oxygenated blood. And similarly, the pulmonary artery is the only artery which contains DOB. What is DOB? Date of birth. Yes, I know that. Deoxygenated blood. Good, very good, excellent. I don't like this section, so just fill it in. And the labeling also got masked by the other lines, so we have to draw this labeling as well. So now I think we are good. Only one fixing. This fixation and this tiny fixation. I think now it's looking pretty good. Do you agree there? Good to me. Okay. Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot. Okay, so yeah, I'm a good artist. So before going forward, we have to just complete our right side circuit. Right side circuit is like the blood is coming, the oxygenated blood is coming from the right side. It's entering into the right atrium, and then it's also coming from the inferior vena cava as well. And then the blood enters into this chamber. This chamber is called as atrium. This atrium is going to contract. And also remember one thing. Both of the atria, they contract simultaneously. Like both atria, they contract at the same time. Look at this magical animation. And over here, can you see something over here? Yes, you can see the chambers, and these two chambers, they are contracting. And once they're contracting, notice that they're contracting at the same time. And then the blood is going down into the ventricles, and then from the ventricles, this blood is pushed to other parts of the body. So just whoosh, this heart is coming. Yeah, that was nice. I know that. So now we're going to talk about, we have seen that how does heart pumps blood, and what is happening over here, that we know. So after entering into the right atrium, we have seen in the animation, you want to see that again? I know you want to. Now this is going to go to the right atrium, and then it enters into the right ventricle. Right ventricle, both of the ventricles contract also simultaneously. But this is pumping deoxygenated blood. This one is pumping deoxygenated blood. This one is pumping oxygenated blood. Yes, you knew that. Now, once this chamber contracts, the blood is passing through the semilunar valve and then entering into the pulmonary artery and taken to the lungs. What do lungs do? Lungs oxygenate blood. Lungs convert the deoxygenated blood into oxygenated blood by removing carbon dioxide, adding oxygen. This oxygenated blood is coming back from the lungs through pulmonary veins. These pulmonary veins, they're going to bring the oxygenated blood back into the left atrium. And this left atrium is going to contract, and then the blood will enter after passing through bicuspid valve. Now you know all these terminologies. Now you're familiar. You're a pro now. The left atrium contracts and the blood enters into the left ventricle. Once the blood enters into the left ventricle, then the left ventricle also contracts and the blood is pushed through the semilunar valve. Semilunar valves open, and then the blood, oxygenated blood, start entering and being pushed into the aorta. Aorta, which is the largest artery. And why is blood not going in the backward direction? Once the ventricles are contracting, why the blood is not going back into the atrium? What is preventing it from going back into the atrium? Yes, now you know that. These are valves. Valves prevent it from going back from the ventricle to the atrium. That's perfectly right. So now we have learned the whole schematics explained, and now you know all of these parts. Two parts are not labeled yet. Look at the diagram and tell me which two parts are missing. I mean, they're not labeled yet. Yes, you spotted them well. This is the left atrium. And this is the right atrium. So all of the parts, they are properly labeled. I think, yeah, nothing is missing. Labeled everything. If anything missing, just let me know. Just shout from there, from your homes, and tell me. Okay. Going back to the part of the discussion, once they can ask a question that why the left ventricle is having much thicker walls as compared to the right ventricle or right chamber. The cardiac muscles in the left ventricle, they are much thicker because, number one, the two reasons. They are supplying blood to all the organs of the body. Okay, so all our body organs, our eyes, our brain, our hands, muscles, our stomach, intestines, digestive system, kidneys, legs, every part needs blood, which is coming from here. So we should be thankful to this section. Thank you. But we should thank the whole heart. It's a pump. Heart is actually a pumping organ. So heart is our pump. It is like a pump, like the pump which you have in your home, which is pumping water. So heart is basically pumping blood. This chamber, right side, is pumping deoxygenated blood. Left side is pumping oxygenated blood. And now we are heading towards, we have discussed the roles of valves, and now we're going to see that what is CHD. To understand what's CHD, one thing should be very clear. We know this thing, that the oxygenated blood is directly coming from the lungs to the heart first. Then heart is generating, is adding up more pressure into that, and then that blood goes into all the organs of the body. But can heart get its cut from there? Can heart absorb any oxygen and glucose from that blood? Answer is unfortunately no. Heart does not absorb or cannot absorb any oxygen from here. And what is the reason? Why heart cannot absorb any oxygen from here? Could it not be very simple that just the oxygen would have penetrated from the blood coming into the heart from here? Like that? No. First of all, there are two reasons for that. Reason number one, the chambers of the heart, the inner lining, they're impermeable. They're very hard. They're stiff. They have to generate a lot of pressure. So they cannot actually let any oxygen or any glucose to penetrate from here into the chambers, into the cardiac muscles of the heart directly from here. Secondly, the heart is receiving blood with a lot of force. It is pushing it to the organs of the body, and it requires a speed as well. You have seen in that animation, which I know you want to see again, but it's hard to do it now because I did it with timing. So, yes, the thing is, what I was explaining to you, the blood is coming over here. Blood is not receiving anything from here. Not any cell of the heart can get any oxygen because the speed is too much. Blood comes from here and then whoop, it immediately goes. So it does not stay over here. For the process of diffusion to happen or to occur, it needs time. While it doesn't have time over there. So the important thing is that the heart is not receiving any glucose and oxygen. So this does not happen. What's that? So then how the heart is going to get oxygen? How is heart going to get glucose? Because heart needs glucose, heart needs oxygen. For what purpose? Yes, of course, it has to do respiration, and glucose is needed to do respiration. And if there is no glucose, there is no oxygen, then heart will not be able to beat, because heart needs energy. A lot of energy is needed, and because it's a muscle, and it's the strongest muscle of our body. Cardiac muscles are the strongest muscles. And why are they strongest muscles? Because these muscles, they need to keep on working 24/7. The cardiac muscles, the muscles of our heart, they start working even before our birth. And then they keep on beating even sometimes after the death. Okay? So they never take rest. They never tire. They don't sleep. These muscles, throughout your whole life, however you're going to live. Right now you are 16, 17, but inshallah you're going to live for 80 more years, 90 more years, 100 more years. So all these years, 100 years, 110 years, 120 years, the heart muscles keep on beating without taking a rest of a single minute. Just imagine that they are the most hard-working muscles in our body. So most, not efficient, but hard-working. So they're working always. They never tire. That's an important feature. And this feature, they can come up in the multiple choice questions. They can ask you which of these muscles never tire, or what is the feature of the cardiac muscles. And one of the options could be they never tire. Not tiring, no fatigue. All muscles can get tired. My muscles can get tired. My leg muscles can get tired. After lesson, probably I'll be so tired that, I have to sit down, I have to relax. But the heart muscles, they never get tired. Secondly, the heart muscles, they start beating faster once there's a need. And whenever there's a need, whenever we are doing an exercise, we are in a need to supply more oxygen to all the body organs. Once we need to supply more oxygen to all the body organs, heart has to pump faster. And then this is actually our nervous as well as our hormonal control and endocrine control. There are You know that adrenaline is the one which is secreted, which is going to increase the heart rate, and then the brain is going to start sending the the signals through the sympathetic nerve to start beating faster. So going back to the discussion, like the heart cannot receive anything directly from here because the walls are not penetratable. Like, nothing can penetrate from here. These walls are thick. So it means that heart also requires a separate, independent, unanimous blood supply as like any other organ in our body. Like our eyes need a blood supply. Our muscles need a blood supply. Our kidney needs a blood supply. Our stomach needs a blood supply. Liver needs a blood supply. And similarly, the heart itself also needs a blood supply. And the blood supplying system to the heart is called as coronary artery. Okay, why is it called coronary? The word coronary, it came from the word corona. Yes, I know that sounds terrifying. But you know what is the meaning of the word corona? Corona actually is a Latin terminology, and it means a crown. The crown which the kings they wear, and the crown is there. So the crown comes and the crown covers the whole head, Let's say this is the heart, and this is the crown coming and covering the heart. So if we theoretically remove all the blood vessels, then what we'll see? We'll just see a corona, or a crown. You probably can see in this particular image, you can see corona. So these are all the blood vessels. They're covering the whole heart. You can see that. And the whole heart is actually covered, and they're supplying blood to all the organs, all the parts, all the muscles of the heart. Gone. Don't worry about that. Now they're not going to die. They have to do something else. They have to do some other job to do. That's what they're going to do. So we have learned that the word corona means crown. And why is it called as coronary artery? Because this artery, the coronary artery, is actually covering the whole heart like a crown is covering the head of a king. Why is coronavirus called coronavirus? Same reason. Looks like a crown having the sides over there. So now we're going to see that the coronary heart disease is actually a disease of the coronary artery. The coronary artery is the artery which supplies oxygenated blood to the heart itself. So we're going to erase this beautiful diagram from inside. I'm going to see that, if you look at the whole structure of the heart, like the whole thing, how does the whole thing look like? Like this is what we were looking at, something which was actually a section, a longitudinal section of the heart. So sometimes you ask students to draw the heart, and this is what you get. And sometimes you get this as well. Wow. Thank you. So okay, look at this complete structure of the heart. That's the heart, and we have said that this requires a blood supply. We know this thing, that the blood vessels coming out from here, these blood vessels, this is the aorta. And this is the heart, and now we are looking at the outer side of the heart. From aorta, a supply comes for the heart. So there is a blood vessel that comes out from the aorta, and then this is the main or chief coronary artery, and then it keeps on going. It keeps on dividing. First it divides into two sections, and then further. And then basically there are 5 main coronary arteries. You don't need to know the names of those 5 different coronary arteries, but you can see that they are supplying blood to different parts, different regions of the heart. So it's like that. So You can see that. So all of these coronary arteries, what are they doing? They are there. What are they doing? They are supplying blood to all the cardiac muscles, all the muscles of the heart. And this blood is coming from aorta. And this blood is supplying oxygen and glucose to the heart itself, which it is definitely in a need of a continuous supply, because we have already said that heart muscles, they're constantly working, they never tire, and they need a constant supply of glucose and oxygen. So over here, we have learned this thing that the coronary artery is extremely important. Now what will happen? Because of certain reasons we're going to talk about later, they could be the fatty deposit. The fats may start getting deposited inside these coronary arteries. And that deposition of the fat, that is going to cause a problem. And the problem is obviously quite understandable. Let's say this is the fatty deposit. This person is having some fats depositing inside his or her coronary arteries. And this deposition of fat is going to decrease the lumen size. This is going to decrease the blood supply to this part of the heart, this region of the heart. A decrease in the blood supply to a particular part of the heart is going to cause a problem. Then this section, let's say this bulgy fat deposition of fats, these fatty deposits, they have developed too big. Remember that they don't develop overnight. It's not like this, that you went to McDonald's and then you ate 3 burgers over there. Then on the same night, you're going to develop the coronary heart disease. It doesn't happen. It develops over years. People who are not taking proper diet, means people who are taking the diet which contains a lot of cholesterol, a lot of the low density lipoproteins, LDLs. You don't need to know that, it's not in the syllabus, but I'm talking about general. Like once you have the LDLs, these LDLs tend to deposit inside the arteries. And okay, I'm going to McDonald's, eating a burger, then come back home, do your treadmill, burn all those fats. Your body can burn all those fats. Your body can utilize all those fats. Fats contain a lot of energy, but if we will not do exercise, all of the energy present in our fats, they will not get any chance to get burned. So then what will happen? The body will start depositing into different parts of your body, including your arteries. And if that artery is a coronary artery, then it is extremely dangerous, because the pump, the one which is going to supply blood to all the organs of the body, that is now under danger. It means that if this is now under danger, all the organs of your body, they are under danger. So what should be done about the diet? You have to be extra cautious, extra careful. If you're taking extra fats or carbs, then what you're supposed to do, you have to do more workout that day. You have to use a treadmill. You have to run out in the morning. And you have to do the normal routine exercises much more as compared to what you had been doing, because now you know this thing that you have taken some extra fats, which normally you don't do. That's how you're going to create a balance. Second thing is this: you have to take balanced diet. You should not be taking too much fats. Your diet should contain all of the 7 important components of diet. They should contain carbohydrates. They should contain lipids, triglycerides, fats, oils. They should contain proteins, all kinds of proteins. They should contain vitamins. They should contain water. They should contain fiber, and they should contain minerals. All these 6 important organic components and 1 inorganic water, they are extremely important in our diet, but all of these components, they should be balanced. Taking too much of any one particular component and not taking the rest, that is going to cause a huge problem. So that problem, if you're taking too much of fats, that may lead to, so the diet, taking too much fats, that may lead to a diseased coronary artery. Your coronary artery is now diseased. I'm addressing to the person who's taking too much fats, and not overnight, over let's say 20 years period, there is a bulging over there inside the artery. And this bulging is called as atheroma. We call this as atheroma. This is the fatty deposit. And this condition medically is called as atherosclerosis. So that is a medical condition called as atherosclerosis, which is actually the deposition of fats. And sometimes the person is having a pain once that person tries to do some exercise. If there is a diseased coronary artery, that pain is called as angina. And if anyone is having a pain once he or she is doing an exercise, that person must go and visit and see your which doctor? Heart specialist, or your, what you call the heart? The muscles. The cardiac surgeon or cardiologist. They're two different fields. Cardiology and cardiac surgery, they're two different fields. I hope and wish and pray no one needs to go and look to any doctor and all of you stay healthy. And we can stay healthy if you're taking a proper diet. So decision is yours. Whether you want to eat right now McDonald's, Hardee's, and the Burger King, and then the Outback, and then all these things you're gonna eat, and then at one day you will be lying in front of a doctor on a bed, and they are planning to do what? A surgery, and then they are going to put the stents, or they're going to do the bypass. What's a bypass surgery? In the bypass surgery, a doctor, a cardiologist, a cardiac surgeon decides that this particular artery, this particular coronary artery is blocked too much. And then from our leg, from any other part of our body, we take out a main artery. There are extra arteries in our legs. We take out a main artery, and then what do? That we graft that artery. This is the grafting. Sometimes we're grafting directly to the aorta. It is grafted to this section. So this section, which was not getting blood before, or not getting ample blood before, will start getting blood. So this is called as the bypass surgery. You probably have heard about this surgery. What's a bypass surgery? So a bypass is actually, we are bypassing this blockage. So we take just an artery and we just graft it, and that graft is after that point of the blockage with the help of a very sophisticated device which is inserted inside the artery, which is having a camera at its end, and then we see that, and this is the angioscopy. In the angioscopy, what do? We actually look into that where the arteries have the biggest problem. Sometimes we put stents over here, but that's not in the syllabus of coordinated sciences. But in IGCSE, you need to know what are the stents. They're small tubes, small pipes, with the help of, during the angioplasty or angiography, after angiography we do angioplasty, and then we leave a small tube over here. This tube, there's a pipe actually, and this pipe expands in a couple of hours after it is just left over there, after it's being installed. Then it expands and then it pushes the artery, and then the lumen size gets improved, and the blockage or the problem due to blockage is solved temporarily. What could be the other possible risk factors which can cause a coronary heart disease, which can cause this blockage? That could be stress. Yes, taking too much stress of anything in your life, taking the stress of exams, taking the stress of any other thing, taking the stress of something is happening in the country, taking the stress of this too much COVID-19 situation, taking the stress of anything, that may lead to a problem. And then you tend to start depositing more fats in your arteries. So don't take stress. Keep everything light. Genetic predispositioning. The genetic predisposition means the family history. If someone is having a family history, if the problem of or the heart related problems are there in your family already, and you know that there are people who are suffering with the coronary heart diseases. Let me check the time. So, thank you. All the people who are putting comments. Yes, I just saw one comment. Yes, I can send you the notes. I will send the PDF. Don't worry. Just contact me on my email. Email is there in many other videos, and it's I'll put it in the description or in the about section of the channel. Oh yeah, thank you very much. Thank you all of the people who are commenting right now and who are really liking how the lesson is going on. I'm really thankful to all of those people. Now come back to the article. This also affects gender differently, okay? Because the human body is same, but males and females, males get affected more because males are more muscular. They have more testosterone, more muscles, so more tent of muscle growth. That's why males may suffer more with this problem. Plus age, definitely as we grow. I told you earlier, this disease, this blockage is not gonna appear over there by just one burger from, I'm not gonna keep on talking about one particular chain. Okay, let's say talk about Push Burger. So it's not gonna happen by any fatty intake. If a person is taking up something which is heavy intake of fat, and then that is depositing over a year of time. So as we are growing older, we have to be more cautious about that. Those people who are watching the channel right now, and they are especially 40 plus people, they have to be extra careful. They have to do regular exercise, they have to always take a balanced diet, and then they have to take care of your body weight as well. Plus, they also keep on visiting their heart surgeon, or your coronary arteries should be monitored. Or if any person is feeling a pain in their chest, that's called as angina. That happens before the heart attack. What is a heart attack? You probably have heard this term so many times in your life. What is a heart attack? If by some chance, imagine we have not done this bypass, this person is just having sometimes angina pains are also even not there, and the person directly suffers or experiences the heart attack first. So what will happen one day, all of this whole thing will get blocked completely. That is because that's a complicated mechanism. Okay, it's not just the fats keep on blocking it. One day, one layer of the fat, it just rips off from there. Once one layer of the fat gets ripped off from there, the body will understand that it is kind of an injury. If there's an injury in our body, anywhere else, we have an injury in our skin. So how does our body respond? If you have a cut, the body starts clotting. Similarly, body will think that there's a cut over there, and the blood clotting begins. And that clotting, the moment there is a rupturing of this lining, having the fatty deposit underneath, that moment is the beginning of the heart attack. And it will take approximately 10 to 15 minutes by the blood clots to start depositing over here. And these blood clots, they are going to completely stop. The blood reaching to this part, it drops down to 0%. So this whole patch of the heart is not getting any blood. The cells over there would start dying. And then that is the heart attack. What is supposed to be done? First of all, the first thing which a doctor or paramedics they are going to give TPA, tissue plasmatic activator. That is going to actually remove the clot first of all. This clot removal is the most important to save the life of that person. Otherwise, that person is going to die. Because then what will happen? The heart will get damaged to an extent that then it will never be able to beat normally again. So, first of all, that clot has to be removed. So you probably have seen in different movies, in the Hollywood movies, that the paramedics, they're injecting something immediately. But that TPA's quantity, that has to be very, very calculated. Excess TPA is going to cause damage and the whole thing will go into a mess. So if you want to save a life of a person, or what are the symptoms of the heart attack? How could you know if you're seeing any person? First symptoms, the person will start feeling, a stomach ache, and then there's an indigestion. The person will start feeling like, there's an indigestion. The person will just feel that, oh, I just ate something and that did not get digested. And then the person will start sweating very heavily. And then the person may or may not always, but most of the cases, there is a pain going from the left arm. And the person starts feeling pain in his left arm. Why is it so? Actually, there is a nerve that goes from your heart. It goes from like this, and then it joins to the veins over, the nerves over there. And then this nerve takes the message to the brain. So once the messages of the pain, the nerve impulses related to pain, they're being sent to the brain, the person feels that the messages are coming from the left arm, while they're not coming from the left arm, basically, they are coming. So if any person is reporting to do all of these problems, if a person, one of your friend, he or she is saying that, I have indigestion, I don't know what is happening. And then the person may blank out as well. That can also happen. The person may blank out for a while. Like the person will say, oh, I just got blank out. I'm sweating heavily. I'm feeling pain coming from my left arm. These are the clear-cut symptoms of the beginning of a heart attack. What are you supposed to do? Immediately take that person to the hospital. And then after doing ECG, electrocardiogram, the doctor is going to decide how much TPA should be injected into that person's system. That TPA is going to first remove the clot. This one, that should be removed so that the blood supply should continue. This TPA is not going to do anything to the deposition. For the deposition later, first save the life of the person, and then later we can do bypass surgery, we can do stenting, we can do angioplasty. Angioplasty is a technique in which we insert a balloon and then we expand the arteries and push the the fatty deposits along with the walls. I think it's the time, and hope you have enjoyed the lesson. And there are so many important things today we have discussed about our heart-related issues. Which is the most important. So we have to take care of our hearts, and we should understand what is the role of all these, especially your diet, especially your lifestyle, that plays a very important role. So thank you very much. Take care of yourself. Stay blessed. Stay safe. Bye-bye. Catch you later.